Good evening and welcome, everybody. Chris Upton in the house, and we have a special guest tonight. We have an organizer, a moderator, a, a Gundog trainer. We have Chris Duval in the house. Let's have a round of applause. Let's have a hello to Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Chris. Thanks, Stu. And good evening, everyone.
Right, Chris. We couldn't run the group the way we run it without you. With Corleone Talk. You introduced Corleone Talk to the group, didn't you, and made sort of set it up and got it up and running. And you're the moderator, and you're the guy who is behind the scenes working really hard, keeping it all running smoothly. And I don't know.
Yeah, it was something I think it came up on a live feed, or it might be a private group on a Sunday evening. I think someone else came up with the idea or the suggestion. And I just said, oh yeah, I don't mind doing it. So setting it up. So we set it up to be going, what's it, about 2 years now, Chris, or something like that.
Gotta be done it, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems to be all running fine, no problems. It's just a place that people can come, people can learn, people can feel safe in a secure environment, and we all support each other, and we're all there for the same reason, is to try and improve ourselves and our dogs, followed by your ideology and your expertise.
Yeah, just give us a second, Chris. Can everybody hear that clearly? Could you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear Chris clearly? I can hear him here. I just want to make sure we've got the sound right for everybody in the group. Sue's saying yes, but she's in the freaking room with me. How freaking stupid is that? Graham Allison's a bit quiet, so I'm going to turn him up a little bit.
Now, okay, I'll see if I can
Chris is. No, I wouldn't turn yours up, Chris, because you're coming across. Okay. You're coming across quite loud, and you're not normally that loud. But then again, you're a Liverpoolian, aren't you? So you can't help it. Yeah. So anyway, Chris is in the house, and you've got a thumbs up. Only Graham Allison a bit quiet. Turn your fucking volume up, Graham. Turn your volume up. Everyone else can hear it. Yeah. So sorry, Chris.
It's okay.
So what made you come to the group, Chris? And I mean, I know the story, but just tell everybody, where we met up for the first time.
Yeah, I had obviously I had my first Springer Spaniel 15 plus years ago now, and I was just trying to navigate that through that having the Spaniel and trying to work and stuff like that, trying to do everything myself, and it was tough to went to other people's expertise back in the olden days weren't really good. And then she got to about 6 or 7, just training all the time, but not really getting anywhere. I think I come across one of your videos on YouTube, Chris. I think it was when you used to have the backfield and you used to go and just have a chat, walk through, your dogs and stuff like that. So I think I found it that way. And then obviously I followed you and started following your methods and ideology. And then obviously I bought another dog, Cocker called Luna, and from that point there, I started putting into place the basics of what you were demonstrating on YouTube, all them YouTube videos you had. Just trying to follow that. I'm a visual learner, so I can learn visually. I'm not really, I can't take anything in from books, or I can't read, the sexes and stuff like that. So I just find your format and the ideology really easy to follow. And then obviously you had the training day up at in the northwest, I think it was up around Chadwick's place, I think.
That was it. Alan Chadwick, yeah. Wigan, wasn't it?
Wigan, yeah, around there. And here just I used to come down for one of them sessions, and I think Luna was about 9 months old, I think she was, something like that. But I put all them basic foundations in and not rushed her. Made sure I was trying to get everything right and following that process that you clearly showed through the videos, including the gameplay is massive, but also them corrections as when you use them and be proportionate and stuff. And the discipline side of it, is only the 5%, but the most important thing was that gameplay, engaging with that dog and building on that, that connection and that relationship between you and your dog. And then obviously I met it up at Alan Chadwick's, and I got some positive remarks and some positive comments from yourself, with Luna being 9 months with the stage I was at.
Yeah.
And I just took all the comments that you gave me on board, went away, carried on working, obviously carried on following your process and methods. And she's turned out to be probably, she's really, really, really happy with her, and she's really good dog. She really is. She does everything I ask.
Yeah. So how many dogs have you actually trained now, Chris?
We own three, but I had one a little bit of a friend's dog a couple of years back.
Yeah.
I had that for a while. So with work situations and stuff, he was away working a lot, and he didn't want to leave the dog at home. So I had that for a good year or so. Changed that round. That dog was a bit of just getting off, doing its own thing. So changed that round. So no more probably 3 and a bit, and then plus dogs when it starts my own training there. So I don't be training myself.
So you help people with dog training as well. You're an accredited trainer with the Corleone Group. So technically, how many years do you think you've put in, Chris, before you actually got that status from me?
Oh, I don't know, a good 8-10 years. Easy.
8-10 years, exactly, Chris.
Yeah,
because
easy.
I would not accredit a trainer unless they had that knowledge, understanding of how to get each dog to the standard, and you proved it with soft dog. You know, you've taken a soft dog and turned it into a brilliant little bitch. And like you say, she's not perfect. She's still got little things that would upset people sometimes, perhaps with frustration. But you've give her time. You've let her come out of herself, and it's a fine example that how different dogs are and how you've nurtured her but pushed her forward for the group. I think is an absolute credit to you, and the way you are a people person, and you put yourself across in the group as well, and how friendly and helpful you are. I had to put you forward as one of our accredited trainers, and I just don't do that lightly, because I don't believe in all this shit where you do a 3-week course, you get a certificate, and you call yourself a dog trainer. That is a large amount of time that you put into working with dogs, and you've gained so much knowledge with the amount of videos that you've soaked up, learnt from, and then when you write a comment on a video and I say, give me your views about this dog, you come up every time without fail with sensible conversation and productive. And we talk about criticism, but it's constructive criticism to help people move forward and learn from. So I really appreciate you in the group. You're just such an active member, and you're such a valued member in the group. And everybody in here who actually follows the group, who's on the group, I'm sure they will second that. Charlie Tiger once said, I'm hoping to do some videoing on Sunday with an 8-month-old cocker. If all goes well. No, we want to see when it goes tits up. We will upload you.
Yeah, thanks for them comments. You know, I wouldn't be waiting for you, stepping out of the normal, what everyone else wants to do, keeps it all in house, showing your ideology and showing your methods. And obviously the part that people don't really want to speak about or show is, the very small amount of corrections sometimes that we have to give. That's an important part, isn't it, of dog training, particularly gun dog training. We all, as we say, 95% is fun, but there's always that element where you have to step up and give corrections. And that's where I think you learn the most about being proportionate and, moving forward with the dog and trying your best to read what's going on.
But it's also, Chris, knowing when to do it and the timing, rather than if we don't pass that knowledge on. And if people think they can train dogs with positive and positive only, it just becomes a joke, doesn't it? It just becomes an absolute laughing stock, because it will fail, won't it? I mean, people are so brainwashed that you can. I was listening to the radio this morning, and it was talking about discipline with kids, Chris, about when we were. Is it Richard O'Brien, is his name O'Brien or something? He just his own radio show, and he's on the radio. I don't know if anyone listens to it. And they were talking about discipline with kids, and they were saying that kids were disciplined and smacked at school and caned at school and slapped around the head and hit with a chalkboard and all that sort of stuff. And then they said, well, actually, did it do them any harm? Did it actually do them any harm? Did it mentally mess them up for the rest of their lives because they had some discipline? And today's society says, well, that's totally unacceptable. I would take my son or daughter out of school if you use discipline on them. Correction. The schools are in such a mess, Chris, because the teachers can't even shout at a child to sit down or anything, because in case the child gets triggered, and then the child can report the teacher, and it would be the teacher in trouble, not the child. It's become ridiculous. And this is the same thing with dog training. It's become such a soft society that people think that kids will behave themselves and dogs will behave themselves if you give them everything they want.
It's getting a bit bad, isn't it? It's getting a little bit silly now, isn't it, with all that sort of stuff.
I'm not saying that let's go back to Victorian times where they would beat a child into submission, but at the end of the day, there had to be a deterrent there, Chris. And dogs haven't got the learning capacity as a child, and so where all these do-gooders want to tell us that we shouldn't be disciplining dogs because dogs won't trust you. It's the opposite, isn't it, Chris? It's like, if you know how to use discipline, when to use discipline, it's a massive tool in the toolbox, but it's a small percentage of what we do. But they don't want to talk about the gameplay and the building the bond and the drive and the desire. They just want to say that guy, disciplines dogs, and anybody who disciplines dogs shouldn't be teaching.
And sometimes discipline or the correction, it's a verbal correction, isn't it? It's a verbal discipline. Or you step into the dog's space to shut the dog down. It's not always a leash correction or a little scruff or anything like that. It's always, everyone sees corrections or discipline in a different format, don't feel a different way. But it's how we proportionate that correction or discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And yourself and everybody in the group, I use a little bit of comedy and to lighten the fact. Today, I had a phone call today from Fireman Sam. Remember Fireman Sam, Chris, in the videos?
Yeah.
He was a real character, wasn't he? He was an absolute character and a half. And he phoned me today because he lost the bitch that he first came down here training with, and he was upset, and he remembered the good times and the beastings he had. And he was talking about when he came back from, I think we were up in Shap, and we were up there training. And I gave him an absolute beasting on the moor for completely not listening to what I'd done and doing something completely different. And he said, I came back down and left, and I absolutely hated you all the way down to Lake Windermere. And I stopped off, had a breakfast, and I thought, no, he's doing it because he cares. He's doing it because it bothers him that if I don't get success, he feels failure. And that was so true. I don't go out of my way to be obnoxious and nasty customers, but my commitment and my desire to get you or anybody in the group to a good standard, I'm going to give you a bollocking if you deserve a bollocking. It's as simple as that. Some people like to sugarcoat everything. I strongly believe that if you've done well, or you're trying, you can even be struggling, but I will give you the credit where credit's due. But if you want to stand there and argue with me like he used to, and he used to, didn't he? He was such a character, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was.
But isn't it wonderful, Chris? All those years ago, I mean, I felt sorry for him. He lost his little bitch. He still got a dog, but he lost the bitch. But he still remembers the times he came down here and the experience he had, and the good times as well, because that's what it's about. It's about, the customers you deal with. If 99.9% of them come back, Chris, and they still want to be your friend and talk to you when things like that happens. He was really upset about losing his bitch, but it's all part and parcel of the full package, isn't it? You see the full package with me. Now, I love the fact, Chris, that you are a lot more laid back in the group. Now, you might not be underneath, Chris. You might be a raving freaking psycho.
Yeah, no, I have learned over the years. I used to be a little bit more forward than I am now, but I think I just learned to take a little bit of a, I'm probably am a bit more quieter than most, and I do assess a lot of things, and I do analyse, well, probably overanalyze some stuff what goes on, and a bit of an overthinker. But I still have got an issue in telling people the truth, and I still don't have an issue in telling people, you know, the basics of if they're doing anything wrong. Sometimes I may go around the house a little bit, and if people need me for me to speak to them direct, I can become more direct with them. But it's about everyone's different. We all have our own people. We all have our own people skills. We all have different ways of dealing with different situations. My approach is probably a little bit laid back, but I still feel I've got the confidence to get my point across to people. And, I'm quite confident in demonstrating what my points are when I've had clients with me. I'm quite confident in the ability that I've gained through yourself. And it needs to be to step up and tell people and be truthful and honest with people.
Yeah. And do you think, Chris, that you have to win competition before you can class yourself as a good gun dog trainer?
I don't think so, but I do think it helps you to see a bigger picture and the standard of that into that competition. But I think that learning journey would give you a little bit more experience and expertise. But not everybody wants a competition dog. Not everybody wants to pressurise themselves or put the dog themselves or the dog under that much pressure. People just want nice little shooting dogs to go out, and some people just want a little spaniel to go throw a few dummies out the field and recall and stuff like that. So for the training I've done and the things that I've picked up, is you tailor the dog to the individual and what the individual wants from that dog.
But the other side of it as well, Chris, you can be taken down a different road if you go into competition side of it, and you can be brainwashed slightly into this is a competition dog and that is a superior dog to a working hunting dog, like a dog that works in the field, when really in reality competition and the clubs were formed so they could improve the standard of the training, but they didn't want to go away from what we call a good shooting dog. But competition work has, and just because you follow the competition road and you go down that avenue, it doesn't make you a better trainer. Just because you've gone down that road, you could be totally brainwashed with the way they want you to work a dog on a shoot, on a competition rather than on a shoot. On a shoot, you see a lot of dogs out of control, but I bet you that when you go on a shoot, you've got the better quality trained dogs on the shoot that everyone else looks back and goes, wow, he can train a dog.
Yeah, well, most definitely. Go on quite a few shoots now, and them compliments are, they do come across, and it just makes you feel a little bit proud of what you've achieved, really.
Yeah.
In the sense that the hard work pays off. And I think people are too quick to find or want quick fixes now. They don't want to do the basics. They don't want to keep it simple. They want to move on to advanced stuff before they even put the rules, boundaries, and limitations into the dog. You just want to get that dog in hunting mode, or do you want to get that dog into a shoot, or do you want to get that dog into the beating line without putting them processes in place and getting them processes right. And what I have learned is, sometimes when you are training dogs with clients, it's a problem solving exercise. You've got to problem solve. You're trying to problem solve what's going on with the dog, but also trying to work with personnel as well to give them the information in the best format for them to resolve the little issue that you've got with their dog.
Do you find, Chris, that the people who come to you with a dog that's a problem, most of those people have gone to another trainer or other trainers or a group of trainers, like a club, and they've been given advice and they're not getting nowhere, and then you can read it very quickly and go, just change this, change that, and you'll start to see an improvement.
Yeah, most of them have been to group sessions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with group sessions, but it's about group sessions. It's about being steady, getting your dog steady, so discipline. So when they're trying to do something, the dog's always sitting or stationary before they do it, and they wonder why the dog's not getting bored or misbehaving or not listening to them.
Yeah.
Because there's so much routine and discipline around that rather than having fun at the gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's an important issue, that the majority of people who come here with a dog that they're struggling with is because they've had poor advice from so-called professional trainers, you know, and in the dog world, and they find them on Facebook or they find them on the internet, and they're people with very little understanding because they've done a course for a few weeks, or they've been on a course and someone has accredited them as a trainer, when in fact they shouldn't be nowhere near helping people, and it's ripping people off. Gary Marriott says 95% of my clients have been to previous trainers and not gotten results. He's dead right, isn't he? I find that so much.
Yeah, most definitely.
Let me throw you under the bus, Chris. Let me throw you straight under the bus. Is there any of our accredited trainers that you would say, no, I don't think they deserve that accreditation?
None whatsoever.
He's too freaking nice. I was hoping he was going to pick one of you and throw you right under the bus.
I'll pick Adam Hudson, to be honest.
Adam. It's funny, isn't it, Chris? We've got trainers in the group, and they've got such different personalities, and if you brought us all together on a group training day, you'd be able to move from one trainer to another trainer. You could be abused by people like me. You could be confused by people like Adam. Especially when
you know, we've all got that you know, the different personalities within the group, and also the accredited trainers. You know, listening to Steve.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I think. You know.
Yeah.
Great chat, and you know, he says it how it is, but he's also nice and laid back. Isn't he? We've got Gary, who says what he thinks, and great to have that view.
Yeah.
And then we've got Adam also with his ability to put things across quite eloquently. So
but the nice thing about Adam, he's got such a dry sense of humor. Unless you really know him, you could be scratching your head sometimes, couldn't you, thinking, does he hate that dog, or does he really love that dog? But we know he loves the dog.
Oh, he loves that dog.
He's such a character as well, and I think that's the nice thing. You don't have to be a clone of Chris Upton to become a good dog trainer, but you need to have the understanding. But you have to have your own personality and show it, don't you? And that's the important thing with the group, isn't it? No one is just a clone of Chris Upton. Everybody's an individual, and everybody has shown the quality of their dog training before they've been put forward to be an accredited trainer.
So, you know, I don't think that's like with Dolly now, like you spoke about earlier, with that so soft and quirky. I'll be honest, I don't think that. But I don't think that, you know, being following you for so long, Chris, and used the method, I think I probably would have packed in with it. For the simple reason is because I wouldn't have thought that I might have had the skills and ability to get over her such soft nature. But, you know, I was just referring back to videos that you previously put on. I took that on board, and I just tried my best with that. And, you know, she still is great. She still does things that, you know, she's always going to be like that. But some days I take it out and she's just, I watch the videos back when a video, and she's just like so good, no style and stuff like that. But she has got that quirky nature where sometimes she just looks at me and goes, I don't really fancy doing that. But it's got the ability to get over that and change your mindset, and giving her the confidence to you know, to work that out for herself and to build on that confidence and having the skills to be able to do that.
I mean, in reality, Chris, I'm not saying it's the sort of dog you wish you could have if you could have seen what you've gone through now, but you've learned so much by working with her, haven't you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. In some respects, it's been frustrating, and at times I have been banging my head against the wall. But as we go forward, I've understood that I needed a dog like this to help me move forward.
To learn more, you know, yeah.
To learn more,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we can all have them
easy ones.
Like those,
yeah.
Easy ones. You'll do everything, kind of have the natural ability to do everything that you want them to do. And you just got to manage that drive. And, you know, sometimes, you know, they live on the edge, them dogs, and you've got to live on the edge with them because you can't shut them down too much.
So although it's been frustrating, it's been a brilliant learning curve as a dog trainer, hasn't it? To how you have to change your mindset to adjust to the dog, and you learn so much more from those dogs that you struggle with because of the mindset of the dog rather than your ability. But sometimes some dogs that are so easy to train, if once you've had 20, 30, 40 dogs in your life, you forget those dogs, Chris, because they were easy to train. It's the ones that really tested your skill set, the ones that push boundaries, the ones that you had to nurture. You know, they're all different. And that's the important thing about dog training. It doesn't matter how many books you read, and you say you're dyslexic, I'm dyslexic. But I've got into reading books, but I have to lock myself away in a quiet space and read the book 3-4 times before it soaks in and understand the format of what they're saying. But I've learned how to do it because I'm dyslexic. Some people are that dyslexic, they just get confused by picking up a book, looking at the words on the paper, because the words jump out at you and they get muddled and your brain gets scrambled. And you get dogs like that as well. You get dogs that are brilliant, but they've got so much confusion in their brain, you have to master and look at it in a different light. And I personally believe what you've achieved with her is unbelievably brilliant, like Steve says on here. Because Steve says, Chris, you have done brilliantly with Dolly to get her to the standard that she is at. And them videos you put up on the blind this week were great. Exactly. And without that feedback from people like you, Chris, people wouldn't see how people have moved forward and grown as trainers, because that's what you've done. It gave you the confidence to keep her, stick with her rather than getting rid of her, like you said. If you've not met someone like me who says as much as I say and share as much as I share, that dog might have been down the road, because you could have took that dog to a lot of the film stars. They would have gone, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. And yet, I think, although there's still frustration there slightly, what you've achieved is unbelievably great. And I've said this before, I don't think I could have done it any better. So that's a testament to what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah. I also think, coming off a dog like Luna, it was such a hard dog, and was like the ability she had, obviously the training is part, but sometimes it's the ability of the dog also, isn't it? Coming off such a hard dog, waiting so long for Dolly, my name down in a few lists, but getting it, I was expecting, my expectation was a lot more from her, a more powerful dog, a more high drive dog. So I think that's where the frustration come from myself, really. I was expecting maybe a bit too much from her because of her pedigree and where I got from, stuff like that. But we just know what we've got in front of us.
Yeah. One of the things, Alistair Brown has just made a comment. He said one good thing about group sessions is the dog is learning to do nothing, ? Which is what he will be doing most of the time in competition or picking up on a shooting day. I think that's a double-edged sword, really, Chris, because it depends what you're doing on those training days. If you just sit your dog and switching it off, then fine, you're teaching it to switch off. But at the end of the day, if you go to a group and the people running the group haven't got a clue, it's a freaking nightmare. So I totally understand what Alistair's saying, but it depends what group you go to. If they're doing nothing but just boring the shit out of the dogs instead of creating drive, desire, but showing how to put the control into the dog, then I don't know if those group lessons are really relevant, really, because you go on a shoot, you want your dog to switch off and not watch anything else other than what you want it to do on a shoot. You don't want it mingling with other dogs. You want it to switch off. So I totally understand what Alistair's saying. You want to do nothing sometimes, learn to switch off. But when you've got dogs on the group and they're whining, Chris, and they're making a noise, you want to move away from them people, don't you? Because you just don't want to have your dog next to people's dogs that they've taken them there at 4 or 5 months of age and going, I've got a gun dog and I want to train it. They've got out of control dogs. It's like going to a playground of naughty kids, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, even like when you're on shoot days, I either take your dogs out and let them relieve themselves before they go, or I know a couple of little areas where I can stop like 5 minutes from the shoot, let them out to make sure that they relieve themselves out, that run about. And once I get to the shoot, I leave my dogs in the car, I get myself ready, I stand there, I listen to the shoot captain or the beating, whatever we're going to do, what guys are doing, wait for the radios to come out while all dogs are charging around everywhere. The boot's open so we can see everything, but they're just chilling in the car. And then when the time to go, that's when I go and get them out.
Yeah.
Don't let them charge around anywhere.
And Karen Evans has said to Alice about Alice's thing here. He says, I agree, Alistair, but you can also frustrate a dog if it's not at the stage it should be. And that's so true. You can take a young dog onto a training day and it's not ready to be socialized in group company where it learns to switch off. And it can become a head case very easy, especially if you've got people screaming and shouting and acting like. I'll tell you, I've run those days and I've told people, listen, you're here to learn, or can you please leave, because it's just to look at my dog, it looks special, and I think, hang on, have you come here to learn or have you come here to show off? And at the end of the day, it's great when it goes right, and it's great when you get in with the right group of people for a group day. But we had the same thing up Shap. When we went up Shap, we had a group of people up there from Corleone, the Corleone group, the Patreon group, and a couple of the dogs were very young and running in, and they felt embarrassed, didn't they? And we said, no, don't feel embarrassed. Yeah. But you've got a young dog there. It's got to be educated. It's got to be trained. Get out after it. If you're going to a group training days and they're not telling you to get out after a dog and put a correction in on the dog, and the dog's running in and getting away with it, you're just creating a monster, aren't you?
Yeah, that dog thinks that behaviour is the correct behaviour to do, doesn't it?
They think it's acceptable, don't they? Yeah.
So adults, the dog's doing a behaviour that they don't want, so that's a negative response. But it's empowering itself by whining and chasing dummies if they're throwing it in, getting used to running in.
And Steve Pace says here, you shouldn't be using a shooting day as a training day. You must have a certain rules and boundaries that the dog knows first before you get there, because you shouldn't be going on a shoot until you've got the dog trained, should you? It's simple as that, isn't it?
No, definitely not. But I think actually, because some of the shoots I go on, I think the standard over the number of years is I felt, there's people on who don't have any control over the dogs on shoots now, trying to correct things on shoot, which, you should have them boundaries, then the basics in place. And yeah, it's always, any dog can go random well, it's strange, but you still got to have your core principles and your core boundaries with the dog and some level of control of the dog.
Yeah. I want to shout out here for Julian Lees. He's sent off a squirrel skin to one of our followers, and I want to thank Jules for that. You can see how excited she was with it. I think she'll be sleeping with it, Jules. You'll be able to she'll be writing your love letters soon. It says Julian Lee says here, Karen Upton took Sue. I thought he said he took Sue. I was going to phone him up after the live feed. It says Upton took Sue to the Bahamas for 3 weeks with 2 months worth of those £5 challenges that he set me up for. 10 of those were from me, he said. He lost them. I love setting up the £5 challenge, and I hate losing. But it made a friendly atmosphere about the training day, didn't it, Chris? It's all part and parcel of enjoying it, having a laugh. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, Chris, is the most important thing you've learned overall from the time you've been following me? Not to argue on the internet with idiots.
Yeah, most definitely. I've got more things to do. I just learned that gameplay is obviously the major factor of that, but it's also keeping this format as simple as possible, and that reward based through gameplay is what we do, like the tennis racket game, for example. That's all reward based for the dog when it's in that process of learning, and also it's the format that you've put it in. You can see the stages that yourself is going through and also the dog's going through. But if you get stuck at any point in that process, there's always, you know, videos, or, you know, particularly when you used to have all them YouTube videos, you could always go back and find something. And we're sort of, we've got that many on Patreon now. There's always videos to go back to if you feel that you've unstuck. It's the simple format that we can all look at, and with the majority of us anyway, and follow that format, go from puppyhood right the way through, if you wanted to advanced training.
Do you think it worked better when it was on YouTube for everybody for free, or do you think that Patreon is a better format?
I think for yourself, because I think YouTube, obviously, you're probably getting a lot more followers and stuff, but probably there was a lot more idiots on there as well.
Yeah.
But obviously on Patreon, because everyone's free to join Patreon, I advise anyone who's on the live feed now, if you're not a Patreon member and you feel like you need to move forward in training, or you want a better dog for the simple, you know, £5 a month, if you're not going to join, or you don't want to, you can't even go and buy a Costa or Starbucks for that nowadays, can you?
No.
So, you know, so Patreon, yeah, is the place to learn, and you can repeat and watch them videos over and over again to get them, you know, them processes in place for you. It's a great learning tool.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, because, like I was trying to explain the other day, I get so much more views when I was on YouTube and a massive following. And I would go places, Chris, and I'm training, and someone shouts, "All right, Chris Upton." I look across and I think, "Who the freaking hell's that? I don't know him." And they go, "I watched on YouTube, and I'm in Yorkshire, or I'm in Bristol, or I'm on Exmoor, and I'm training with someone." I'm thinking, "How the freaking hell do they know me? I don't come from round here." But it was amazing, the following I got, because it was free on YouTube, and the feedback was fantastic. But I only did that because of that hatred, because the one video that I give a correction to a dog, they edited, and they just tried to turn it into like, this guy abuses dogs and this guy beats dogs, when in fact that people who came over and watched it on YouTube looking for a car crash, as we say, because everyone likes to watch a car crash, then realized, hang on, this guy can train dogs and he can train people. Look at the quality of his training and the results he gets. And at the end of the day, we've all got to make a living, but I'm so happy that I've got the support that we've got and the following that we've got. But it's not just that, it's the group, it's the family, isn't it? It's the Corleone family. It's such a group of people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, from all different standards, and yet we all get on so well, don't we?
Yeah, I can't recall anyone having a disagreement with everyone. Everyone gives feedback. It's constructive feedback, and it's so supportive the group for people who've came in, who've come in at different stages, different timings. We've had the odd one or two people haven't we? We've not listened to what the advice we've been given, and obviously they taken their choice to leave the group. But there's not very many. The high percentage of people who come into the group, you know, stay within the group and learn and go forward. And we know that if anyone was really struggling, you know, with whatever particular area they were in the country, if someone could team up with them and help and support them, or if one yourself or the trainers in that group, we would go and help and support them going forward.
Yeah. So come on, Chris. I'm going to throw myself under the bus now. What do you think I could do to improve what we've got? And when I say not what I've got, what we've got, I class it as our group. Everybody who involved in it, it's our group. Yes, I get paid for it. I really appreciate that. It gives me a living. But at the end of the day, what do you think we could do to improve it?
I think you've tried a couple of times to tell me, like, putting the tests on and stuff. Thinking off the top of my head, maybe kind of, you know, instead of you doing it, maybe like some of the trainers like yourself, Adam, Steve, and Gary. You know, if anyone's got any struggling with a particular scenario or particular dog, or wants to go further, you know, blinds or whatever, you know, we could get together and, you know, put some videos together with our own dogs, or give demonstrations, or ask, is there any subjects the group may be struggling with, and see if we got maybe a subject that we could do, whether that be a delivery problem, whatever that person or persons ideas are.
Great idea.
We're always free and open.
Great idea.
Challenge our group to make it it is the best group anyway, but to make it even better. So we're inclusive to everyone in the group and we're helping everyone because we've got, what is it, 288 members or something like that.
Yeah. But hang on, Chris, they're paid members. They're not in it just for the own gain. They're actually paying me to keep this group running. And it would be wonderful if the accredited trainers, I think that's a great idea. But I don't want to put pressure on people because it's time consuming to sit there and do videos or answer people's questions is time consuming. But my dream was to produce like 20 or 30 trainers up and down the country who know what they're talking about, who don't feed bullshit, who know how to use discipline when needed. But 95% of that is gameplay and building a bond and a relationship. And those people reaching out, spreading out, and making a real difference in the Gundog world, that you're not being faced by these con artists who only tell you what you want to know. And it's like the area you come from, Chris, is where? What area do you cover?
I'm right on the edge of, I live in Cheshire, but I'm right on the border between Liverpool and Cheshire.
So what can you offer people? Because you don't get many people who are trainers promoting other trainers, but you people supported me. You've proved yourselves, and now I'm pushing out you as advertising in the group, on the World Wide Web. What can you offer people in your area, one-to-one? What can you do for them?
What I can do one-to-one, I can do board and chain. I will always be open and honest and give them follow a simple format, tell them how it is, and we work together and give them that connection with yourself going forward to try and improve them as a person and as a dog trainer, and also their dog in different formats of how they take that on board, whether that be demonstrating or giving it to them visually or talking or breaking things down for them. I'll be open and honest and give them the truth.
And do you think it's good for the group, Chris, the accredited trainers, I'm not saying all the time, but because of time and commitment, on the odd occasion, share videos of them training with people, just show the standard of their work and show the success that they get by helping others with the knowledge they picked up?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, it is a way forward, and it shows that the skills that we have learned, putting into practice, and that builds confidence with other members of the group to go out and motivate themselves to see if they can keep moving forward and build that confidence for them also. It also shows the skills of the accredited experience, what you've passed down, your skills and knowledge.
But we've also got people in the group who've been successful in competition, won competition, or picked up awards in competition, and they're still following us. So they must be picking up something, Chris, that is worth still following us. That's the important thing, isn't it, with the group?
Yeah, most definitely. Because we're all people, of they've taken that core ideology of what you've put into place within the Corleone group, and then obviously they just maybe added little bits and bobs and took more advanced videos that maybe we put on and challenged themselves to go into that sort of field, and probably picked other little things up on the way. But that core 80-90% of all that's come from your method and ideology and your training.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's really important to me. I mean, I've got kids, but they're not into being gun dog trainers. It would have been lovely if I'd had one of them had gone down that road of saying, I want to be a gun dog trainer, and then taken over my business when I retire. But to me, this is my family. This is you people have kept me alive. You've given me a will to live. You've supported me and Sue. You've supported the Corleone family, the Corleone way. And I really appreciate your support from everybody in the group who come on these chats when I'm talking shit, when I'm talking to clients who talk sensible. I mean, I love the sit downs, the chats, the live feeds with people in the group who've appreciated the group, who understand the philosophy of the group and how important it is to share what you've gained over the years and the knowledge you've gained, and not hold it back going, oh, you're going to have to learn the hard way, mate. You're going to have to make mistakes. I don't want people to make mistakes with the dogs. Why should the dogs suffer? If we can turn people round and help people up and down the country, that was my dream, to bring the gun dog world together, not separate it. But I'm not. What the one thing I'm not willing to do is sell my soul to the devil and pretend that it's all rosy in the garden when it's not rosy in the garden. Because you see it yourself, didn't you, Chris? So many people, great pretenders out there trying to be dog trainers. We share it with the group, but we keep it in the group because we just don't want to cause limelight for our own benefit. But we talk about trainers who think they're trainers and they haven't got a clue. And we share it and we talk about it. That's not because we're being nasty. That's because we're showing people in the group that these people are false. These people are dreamers, and they're calling themselves gun dog trainers.
Yeah, I think um, what you see on social media now is these the courses and stuff like that. You can do a 20-hour course, or you can do not even 20-hour course. You can there's a 4-hour course off there, but getting a certificate from whomever, do you know what I mean? And they're putting little videos up of chucking dummies in a style field. That's not real gun dog training. It's putting the dog under pressure in scenarios. When we're building that, we're putting the foundations in. There's no foundation work with them. It's just a setup for people, isn't it? It's a false ideology.
And how important do you think it is, Chris, that the members who are beginners or struggling, who ask for tuition, knowledge, and understanding, they get the advice, they put up the videos, I edit them, I show them, I tell a story. How important do you think those videos are?
They're vital for everybody's learning journey, in the sense that how you break them videos down, and what you're saying is sometimes I watch some of them videos 3-4 times, and I may pick up similar things on the first 2 times, but then on the third time I'll pick something else up what you've already explained, but on the first times I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So the way you break the videos down for people is and you can take all that feedback on board and understand it, and then go back out and demonstrate what you've taken on board. It's just vital for you and your dog to move forward in the training.
So I think it's really important. I think what you've talked about tonight, Chris, is absolutely fantastic, because I have to think what to ask you, and then you come back with a feedback. And no one's prompted this. This hasn't been rehearsed. And at the end of the day, I want to thank you 100% for this, because what you've said, I haven't found anything you've said that I could counteract and go, I'm sorry, I disagree with that, or I disagree with that. And I don't want people to be clones of Chris Upton. I want people to be individuals like you are. But what you've said just makes so much sense to what the group is about. I mean, and we got to thank Sol for that, because it was Sol who said, look, get onto Patreon, do what you're doing. You've got the following. And anybody who wants to build a business, what you've got to do, you've got to give it for free to begin with for a long period of time and build an audience. Once you've built that audience, then you can start charging. If you just start charging and no one knows you and you've never put no work up, you might have a little bit of business, but you're never going to be successful. If you want to be successful, you've got to put up your work. You've got to show you the quality of your work. You've got to show that you know what you're talking about. You might catch a few people along the way if you don't do that, because they're gullible, but you're not going to be successful. You're just going to be banging on the edges like so many trainers do. I am the most successful Patreon Gundog trainer out there because of my format, the following, and the following I have from people who've stood up and gone, I'm going to pay this guy every month. I'm not going to pay him for a month or 2 months and then clear off and go and watch somebody else. I'm going to follow him because he puts up enough content, he puts up value for money, and the group is a fantastic group. And without you guys and girls in the group, this group would not be half of what it is. You make this group, and that's important to me. And I want to acknowledge our accredited trainers.
Yeah, I'd like to thank yourself and Sue for putting that out there and putting up with the things that you've gone through over the years, but sticking with it, because I think many people may have just totally stopped, putting your head above the parapet and pushing your ideologies forward because of some of the backlash you received. which shows that how determined you were to try and fulfill your dream of, you know, spreading their trainers around the country. And I think, you know, you've persevered with it, and we are, you know, not a clone of you, but what we are is we've got that Corleone ideology and that Corleone way of training, which we're all proud to say. How did you get so good? Well, I follow Chris Upton. I follow his ideology. I follow his methods. I believe the way. I can see that in my own dogs. And, you know, when you do have clients coming to you and you're changing things and they come to you for a number of weeks, and then after like the third off, sometimes it's instant that you can see the change in the person on the dog, but sometimes it does take a couple of weeks, and then you can see the progression of that person and of the dog moving forward. It just hits home time and effort that you've put in, and then we've taken that on board, and we're putting it now to promote ourselves. Also, you know, keep the Corleone family going forward and spreading that way.
So tell me, Chris, I think that's brilliant what you just said. Thank you. Do you think that I'm a coward, or do you think that I've learned through sense and sensibility that it's no point in arguing with idiots on the internet? Because I used to be public on the internet. My Facebook site used to be open for anybody to look at. My YouTube site was for anyone to look at. And I got into so many arguments with idiots who didn't know what dog training was really about, gun dog training was really about. And I used to like enjoy having bitch fights on the internet. And then I thought to myself, hang on, you don't need this shit. You don't need this shit. You need to just close it down and give people a choice. Come into the group and learn, or fuck off on the internet surfing, and you'll just fucking carry on surfing for the rest of your life, picking up absolute crap. Because I learned a long time ago, Chris, that you can argue with as many people as you want, but if they're brainwashed and they're not willing to listen, they're just looking for limelight off your back. So I built a following, a massive following on YouTube, but I've got to say, I've got a far more peaceful, balanced life by not freaking arguing with freaking idiots who think they know better. Yeah. Is that a braver person or more sensible? Is that a coward because you switched off from the idiots and you're not out there arguing with them all the time? Or is that a sensible person who just thinks quality of life is far more important? If they want to learn, they'll come to you.
A sensible life, most definitely a sensible life.
Michael McLaughlin says, I must say, watching these Corleone people of the last few years has been a pleasure. From basic dog people to expert dog people, all through excellent tuition. Loved it. Thank you so much, Michael. That's the comments, Chris, that really matter, isn't it? People who followed us, who interact with us, who put up their opinion, because everybody's entitled to their opinion. We haven't got people. This is live. We don't get people on here coming and giving us shit because they know that the group would have fucking attack them and say, go back to your fucking under your stone you came from. Because we don't fear discussion, but at the end of the day, we're not looking to create a following by being aggressive or rude to people on the internet, are we? You know, that's the difference.
No, definitely not. No chance. No. We speak, you know, we sort of speak our mind. Some of us are open to debate. Some of us like to stand up and promote ourselves, and some of us don't. And that's the good thing about the group. We have got that them personalities within the group, haven't we, to make the group, you know, an inclusive group.
But it would be so easy for me, Chris, wouldn't it, to be able to go into these Gundog forums, join as a member, and start freaking saying, you don't know what you're freaking talking about, you talking out of shit. And if anyone attacked me, the group would freaking come to your defense, wouldn't they? But I'm not looking for bitch fight with people. If you're not willing to spend £5 minimum, you know, you can come into the Corleone Talk for £5, Chris, and you can learn so much. And at any point you can leave, can't you? But if you come into the higher tier, you get even more knowledge and wisdom, don't you? And at the end of the day, that's where you gain the real knowledge, like people have said on here before. But I wanted to set this up on the internet for people of any background, any financial situation, to be able to not be fleeced by these freaking idiots. And we get so many people now who don't come for lessons, but they follow what I tell them. They send in a video and I edit that video and I do a voiceover and I tell them where they're going right and where they're going wrong. People are getting dogs to a good standard without even going to a trainer now, aren't they?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. And that's, you know, we all learn different ways, don't we, in different formats. But, you know, most people, the way life is now, the way technology is now, most people can visually watch this, can't they, and pick things up from there because the technology is so good. And then with the voiceovers and with similar videos going up, and like we always have, you always have different clients coming in with the different dogs at different stages. And, you know, I'm putting down, someone will always have a dog going through that stage, or someone will always have a dog that may be doing something similar. So, you know, there's a format there, and there's then the library there, what you're building on Patreon. You know, for £5, where else could you go and look at that library, type it in the search bar, delivery programs, running in, gameplay, and then videos are all just going to come flowing to you through your, you know, your iPad or whatever for £5.
Yeah, Adam wants to ask you a dog-related question. Freaking hold on to your hat, Chris. Hold on to your hat. Here it comes. Go for it, Adam.
Let me get Google up.
Yeah, you got to Google it. You've got to Google it, Adam. Come on. Hurry up. Ask the question then. Ask the question. And I think that's the important thing about it, Chris. I'm exactly the same as you. Because I'm dyslexic, I'm visual. I learned so much visually, but I couldn't do it academically, as in sit down in the classroom and really get your head down. And some kids are just natural at it. And I wasn't one of those kids. But I learned so much visually. And that's what I thought. There's got to be a better way of teaching and visual. But being able to break down a video, you've got to have the skill set of knowing what you're talking about as well, don't you? Because anybody can put up a video. I watched so many short videos on the internet of a so-called pro dog trainer. I knew he'd freaking start off. I knew he'd freaking be on one. Here we go, Chris. What cheese did you use for Dolly? I knew there would be freaking something.
Double Gloucester, because it was on offer in Iceland.
Yeah. Double Gloucester, because it was on offer in Iceland. Now, you're going to get some people on here now going out buying double Gloucester from Iceland, unless it's not on offer.
I know, yeah, cool. But I just like also, Chris, I know we're coming to finish up now, but I would also like to, you know, to talk about, you know, our group, what we have. You know, if any of our group members who are in Corleone Talk have got any ideas how we can also improve the group, even though the group's amazing and runs fantastically, but you know, it's everybody's group. So if they have any ideas of what they would like to see, or what they would like to more of or less of, or anyone ideas how we can move the group forward, please message in the group or message me privately, and we can always have them conversations, because we're all here to make the group the best we can and all stick together and move forward.
Well, I got to say, Chris, I just got to say, I think this has been one of the most sensible live chats that we've had, and I want to thank you for that. But I'm not leaving it that, because I've been watching something on the internet today, and I want to ask you for your worldly advice, because I want to finish off on a good note for everybody in the group. I've been watching a thing about ejaculation, Chris.
Yeah.
He didn't laugh. He just went, yeah, he's ready for this. He's ready for this.
I can't believe it took you 59 minutes.
Yeah.
I said,
time is it, sir? Because it's a long time, hasn't it?
yeah.
59 minutes. That's a record.
59 minutes. I think that's a record, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So, Chris, the question is, I'm a bit confused. You're dyslexic. You might get totally confused, but the question is like how to increase your semen. Now, not being funny, why the freaking hell do you want to increase your semen? I mean, the feeling of shooting your bolt or coming is nice, isn't it? It's over then, isn't it? It's finished. Why do you want to flood the wife with more semen? And so I'm scratching my head this freaking evening, thinking, why the freaking hell is that playing on my mind about, you know, how to increase your semen on the internet? I'm thinking, why do I want to increase my semen? And then Sue comes home from work, and I said, I'm going to ask the question tonight. Buy a bigger boat if you want to increase your semen. Yeah. So I've said to Sue, I said, Sue, why the frickin' hell do I want to increase the semen? 5 or 20-year-old Steve.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what Sue said? Why didn't I think of it? Well, it all depends if you're trying for children. Well, they didn't fucking mention that, did they, Chris? They just said, how do you increase your how to increase your semen? I'm thinking, why the frickin' hell do I want to increase the semen? It comes out plenty. There's no problem with it when it comes out. It's Michael McDonald says Chris is very well knowledgeable dog man, but don't ask him anything about semen. No need to internet. He said we will leave the advice to Big Dog Upton. Tracy's laughing. I thought to myself, why the hell do people? Because I don't think like Sue thinks. So when she came home, when she said what she said, I thought, right, that's the reason it's on the internet. My dyslexic brain's thinking, why the hell do I want to increase my semen? I think that was a brilliant thing to finish on, Chris.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm left in speechless now.
Exchange the format question.
Actually, I've got to finish with Adams because it made me laugh, and
I thought, hang on, sorry, Michael McLaughlin. I thought he said Upton Big Balls. He didn't. He said Upton Big Dog. Karen said I wish I could reduce my semen 5 kids earlier. Yeah. Exactly. So now, isn't it funny? You can watch something on the internet and it can get into your head and you think, freaking hell, what's that? And then the wife comes home and says something sensible. Perhaps it's for people trying to have children.
Sensible one.
Yeah, the sensible one in the background. Chris, I've actually thoroughly enjoyed this evening and I really want to thank you. Do you know what? You're a quieter guy, and I thought I don't want to put him under any pressure and just invite him in off the cuff. So that's why I wrote, does anybody fancy coming in? And you stepped up like freaking dog with big bollocks. Like, I'll be on tonight, no problem. So I want to thank you, Chris, and you held the evening brilliant. You did really well. Thanks very much indeed. It's been a brilliant evening.
No, thanks to you and Sue and everyone within the group and everyone listening tonight.
And for some reason, Michael McLaughlin says, bollocks, classy interview. Tracy Dodd says, well done, Chris. And she's not talking about me. She's talking about you, not Chris. She didn't say Chris. Tonight was brilliant, says Karen. Cracking chat, guys, says Nigel Moore. Jamie Pullen, great listen. Jamie Pullen. Yeah, is he pulling what? Abigail French, fantastic. Sean Raymond, great. Chris, cheers, Chris and Chris. Bollocks to Chris and Chris, says Gary. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I have been reading your comments and smiling quietly, so I don't make Chris freaking nervous when he thinks, why is he grinning like a Cheshire cat? Chris is going to have to go back and read the comments if he's not seen the comments. But thanks for your input, your feedback, and thanks for tuning in. And thanks for supporting the group. And thanks to Chris for being our admin, as well as one of our accredited trainers. Much appreciated. Chris Upton, Sue, and Chris Duval signing out. Before I go, if anybody's in the area of Liverpool and they want to write, I can't say a crack. Can I say a crack now? What's it? No, they normally in Liverpool they normally headbutt you, don't they? But if you want any advice or any help in that area and you're struggling, contact me or contact Chris. If you contact me, I'll pass his number on. If you're generally interested in training dogs, Chris Duval is in the Liverpool area, but I think he's willing to travel. He'll travel to Manchester. It's not too far.
Yeah, no, it's only 30 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, 30 minutes, yeah. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Great chat. Cheers, boy.
Cool. Have a good evening, everyone. See you soon.
Cheers, Chris. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye, Sue.
Bye.
Wasn't that great, everybody? Absolutely fantastic. Lovely chat. These chats are so much nicer because I don't talk shit. Okay, I came in with a little bit of a semen joke. Well, it wasn't a semen joke. It was a freaking honest appraisal of me sitting there thinking, why do I want more semen? Anyway, on that note, great chat, Bollocks, and good night, stolen from Tracy. You're a boy, Jules. You're a boy. Really enjoyed tonight. Well, cheers, Kim. Thanks for joining in, everyone. Chris Upton, Sue, and Chris Duval has left the auditorium. Take it easy, everyone. Nice chatting to you. A great evening tonight. A lot more sensible, wasn't it?